There was a woman whose husband had been transferred here from Des Moines, came over here to volunteer, and she'd been a volunteer in Des Moines. And I think her name was Jan Mitchell, and she found out there wasn't a volunteer organization. So she talked to some of the sisters that were here then, of course not the ones that are here now, but she talked to some of the sisters about getting a volunteer organization started. And apparently they gave her the right to do this. And then I think without a doubt that they probably got a hold of some of the Catholic women in town that they thought would be interested in this and got it started. I knew about it because I saw a picture in the newspaper of some women doing something for this organization at Mercy. And I called a friend of mine, Shirley Berger, and I said, "Shirley, is that just for the Catholic women?" And she said, "No, and it's for everybody." And she said, "Come on down." Well, the deal was that I wasn't a Catholic, and so I came on down, and they started a mail service, and I was on the first mail service, and that was the only service they had for a little while. They had a meeting, their first annual meeting of some kind, and they didn't have a president. They had a vice president because this Jan had moved back to Des Moines, and so she was no longer here to act as president. And Von Tegler was the vice president at the time, and she could not take the job of president. So they had the meeting and didn't end up with a president yet. And then I was called soon by Betty Holland, who had a gravel voice. And she said, "Joy, would you be president of the Mercy Guild?" And I said no. I got another call from her, did the same thing, said no. She said, "Now, Joy, would you be president of Mercy Guild? Everybody in Iowa City knows the Summerwills are Presbyterians. Now, will you be president of the Guild?" And I said yes. I think at first they were surprised that there was any thought of such a thing. But I think it was supposed to be a service organization. And that's the basis that we used as a guild board, or the volunteer board, I should say, to be a service organization and like deliver mail. And as time went on, we just started other services. And I'm sure that's what the sisters must have wanted too. So we organized a bake sale. And it was down on College Street in front of a paint store, in Pittsburgh Paint maybe, I don't know. But I know Margaret Bonenkamp was real involved in it. And so we had this little card table with everybody bake something, and it went off well. I think we made $50 or something like that. I remember distinctly Margaret Bonenkamp also made a beautiful Christmas tree skirt. And we had a raffle for it. And you know, everybody, I don't know how much we got in on the raffle, quite a little bit of money. And one of the nurses at the hospital won it, which was really nice. And that was, I think, our second profit. Okay. Then later, there were sales from the gift shop after it had formed. And then we had dances, about 3 or 4 big balls, you know. So lots of different things. There were plans for a gift shop, and I was always the chairman of the gift shop when there wasn't any, which was fine. But then they decided to have a gift shop. I mean, it was feasible that they could start a gift shop. And it was in the corner of the coffee shop, which was where the information desk is sitting now. That's about where the coffee shop was then. It was a little hard to do the buying because we were buying actually for people to take gifts to patients. That was our intent. And we had this little shop. It was about the size of a middle-sized closet. So we could buy Oh, cards, and we could buy decks of cards and small toys and, you know, not much. It was difficult. We couldn't get anything like we have now. I think people are really appreciative of it. And I think people enjoy working as a guild member. And now they don't really even have to be a guild member. They can just come and volunteer. But the volunteer organization has just grown and grown and grown. It's really good to see how wonderful it is. I do think that the services that the Guild has are, of course it's grown so much. And at first, you know, we just didn't do much. We had baby pictures and things like that. But with the guest lodging as such, it has been a real good moneymaker for the hospital. But the thing is that it's good for the people that stay there too. One time we had a woman that stayed there for 6 or 7 weeks because her husband had had a heart attack. She was from Denver, Colorado, and they were driving east. He had a heart attack out on the highway. They brought him to Mercy, and he was here for 6 weeks, and so was she. And it just was convenient for her, you know. She didn't have to get a motel room, and the price of our rooms is very minimal. It's a service, really. There's just lots that the Guild has paid for. I can't even recall what all it is. $2.5 million? Oh, that's fantastic. I'm amazed. It started out with $50 from a bake sale. That's pretty good. I like to volunteer because I just thoroughly enjoy it. At first I started because it got me out of the house. I'd sent my last child to junior high and I was free for the day, and so I could come down and volunteer, and there were no volunteer areas for people in Iowa City at that time. We were a pretty small town then, and there weren't a lot of volunteers for women. So this was a perfect place. I just came down and started volunteering, and I've just stuck with it. I like to be here. The Guild has been valuable to Mercy Hospital.